welcome to today's video. Today we are at the treatment lab and I'm here with Rudi Chaplin. We're going to be talking about rest and recovery for endurance runners. So if you're taking part in a half marathon or full marathon, then this is for you. So I'll pass over to Rudi, let him introduce himself, and then we'll start with the video.
Hi everyone, I'm Rudi. I work here at the treatment lab. I'm a sports rehabilitator, also a marathon runner, currently training for Manchester Marathon, which will be my 5th marathon. Thank you for inviting me, Katie.
No problem at all, thanks for coming along. So I'm also taking part in the London Marathon, which is a few weeks after Manchester, and Rudi and I thought we'd put together a video just to help anyone that's struggling with rest and recovery and just to understand the importance of it, especially within our training plan, because you know, it's all good making sure that we get the miles in, but actually rest and recovery is just as important, if not more. So we've put some questions out there, asked some people what they'd like to know, and we'll work through these today. And if there's anything else that you'd like us to cover in the future, then we can do that as well. So we'll start with the first one, and the first one came from Sean Carter from Red Ray Runners, and that came via Facebook. And Sean wanted to know about foam rolling and how to what the benefits, what the purposes are, and just sort of how to do it, because there's so much information out there and I think some people are a bit unsure what to do. So I'll pass over to Rudi for this one.
Thank you. Yes, great question. Foam rolling is good. There's not a great deal of research into it at the moment, but the current research does show it does help with delayed onset muscle soreness, so it'll help with your recovery. But there is a technique to it, so you do need to be sort of fairly skilled at it. There are plenty of videos online that would show you how to do it. We've done a blog on our website and it's posted on Facebook about how to foam roll through the legs. So have a look at that, or have a look at some other videos. There is a technique, but it is beneficial to do. Be careful not to do it every day though. You'll get bruised, you'll get sore, so maybe a couple of times a week it's quite good for your recovery in between runs.
Yeah, perfect. I was just thinking that as you were talking then, sort of in terms of how many times a week, and is there a best sort of time straight after a run, or when and how should people?
I suppose it depends on the run that you've done. If you've gone and done a 19 or 20 mile, you probably won't want to be rolling on a foam roller. If you've done a shorter run or on your rest days, it might be quite good to do. It is a painful technique, so you need to be careful not to do too much. Yeah. But I think a couple of times a week, probably not straight after a long run, should help you recover. Okay, brilliant. So the next question was, it sort of resonated quite a lot actually. I've had a few people come to me with this, and this is about sort of the runga pains and constant hunger. And this also is from Lorraine, also another Red Ray runner. I experience this a lot myself, and I know that now at this stage especially, a lot of people on Twitter are talking about this as well. As the mileage increases, people are getting very hungry after their long run, and it's just how to combat that, because you can go out and do an amazing run, sort of burn around 2,000 calories, but you can also undo that by coming home and eating a big pizza that's around the same content as well of 2,000 calories. So you can undo all the good hard work that you've done and probably not getting the best source of food that you need for you. So in terms of the runga pains and trying to combat them, I think the best thing after you've been for a long hard run is to have a meal which is based around protein and carbohydrates, because your muscles have really done a lot of work and probably are starting to become damaged, so we really need to prepare our muscles with protein. So for me, personally, I really love something like eggs on toast, or eggs with a bagel, which is a really good balanced meal. I also like fruit smoothies, so I put in there some protein powder, a banana, some fruit, ice, milk. That's also really good, because sometimes after a hard run you don't always want to eat a big meal. So I think that making sure that you get a really good meal in after a run is most important, so that you don't then get the massive hunger pains throughout the day. I don't know if you experience this as well, but I also find that it's not Sunday that I get hungry, it's the Monday. Yeah, into the Monday,
it's the onset.
Still that calorie deficit you're trying to feel, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's when I feel it hits me most, is Monday. So to combat that, I always take in lots of snacks with me. So if I'm out and about or I'm on the go, I'm at work, I make sure that I've got lots of snacks in my bag to snack on, and that they're healthy, so that they've got good nutrition content, but also maybe fewer calories, because when we are really hungry, we grab something that's maybe a bit more sugary and higher in calorie content. So for me personally, I like things like nuts, fruit, rice cakes, yogurt, all things like that, you know, vegetables and hummus, apples and peanut butter, that's also a really good one for me. So I just think that if you have a lot of snacks prepared, then you're less likely to grab for something which isn't as nutritionally good for you. So that would be my advice, is a good meal after your long run. Snack, but snack well, and also hydrate, because sometimes your body tells you that it's hungry, but actually if you have a glass of water and it's telling you that you're actually thirsty. So hydration is definitely the key on that one. Any tips or any personal experiences?
I'm the same. I do get tempted to go for the sugary food, so you've got to be quite disciplined, really. With my long runs being on a Sunday, quite often a Sunday roast is quite good. So plenty of veg, plenty of protein with the meat as well. So that's always a good recovery one. Yeah,
I find the same. I do love a roast dinner on a Sunday, and I'm quite bad for this. On a Sunday, I'm so famished, I'm so hungry that I'll be like, oh, it's all right, I've ran 15 miles today, so I can have this. But actually, it's probably not the best idea always. But I think that we definitely need to remember that food is fuel, and we need to fuel our bodies. So it's making sure that we get the right calorie content back in our bodies on the Sunday, so that we're good to go again for the Monday for another week of training. So, don't be conscious of it, but don't be too conscious. I think as well is one of the best things to consider.
Busy lifestyles as well. Sometimes you don't always have the time for prep and things. So perhaps a bit of planning beforehand is always good.
Fantastic. That's a very good tip. Preparation is key. Okay, so next one, it came from a guy called Simon on Twitter, and it was about recovery runs. So obviously a lot of us do our main long run on a Sunday, and then a lot of research and a lot of people say that you should go out on a Monday morning just a Monday in general, and do a recovery run. So Simon says that obviously with his busy lifestyle and a family, finds it very difficult to go out on a Monday. So I think we should talk about sort of the purpose of a recovery run on a Monday. Should we be doing one? And if we can't get out and do one, what other home-based alternatives are there for us to do? So, I mean, I don't always personally go out for a recovery run on a Monday. I think we discussed this earlier actually, like we both sort of suffer with shin splints and niggles, and I try to make sure I have at least one day in between each run that I do, just to make sure that my legs are recovering. So what's your thoughts on a recovery run?
I personally don't do a recovery run on a Monday. I tend to try and rest and do something else, maybe go to the gym. A recovery run is quite good, that it will stretch the legs out, it will help you recover. I mean, if you're getting up to 18, 19, 20 miles at the end of your training program, you might not be feeling too good for a recovery run the next day, but some cross training might be quite good. So if you do have time to go to the gym, maybe get on the cross trainer, the bike, go for a swim, something that gets the legs moving, but it's low impact, so it's going to help everything recover. In terms of not having time to go to a gym and doing some home-based stuff, maybe some home-based exercise like Pilates or yoga, a good stretch and mobility session might help just get everything moving. But ideally, if you've done a really long run, you want to just be aware that your body is still recovering from that run. You don't want to overload it too much. So if you do go for a recovery run, it should be light and it should be not very long.
Yeah, perfect. And with that, with the Pilates and yoga stuff, I think that's fantastic at home. Like, you can just buy a mat really cheap. We don't really necessarily need a mat at all to do it. And I think there's so much nowadays on YouTube is a great platform for that. You can just type in yoga or yoga for runners or Pilates, and there's so much out there. So I think that just utilise what you can that's out there nowadays. So just, get your iPad, get your laptop, set it up, and definitely on a Monday, if you've only got sort of 20 minutes to do something, then 20 minutes of stretching is so much better than nothing. So the next question that we've got is based around post-run nutrition, and especially focusing on drinks. Now, this came from a few people on Facebook. In my own experience, I try to take a protein-based drink straight after a long run. So it's just a whey protein, and again, it's just to help with muscle repair and helping repair those muscles. I also try to drink electrolytes. So I have Science and Sport or High Five, a really good brand to have. So they come in tablet form, and you just pop them into water, which is also great to help with hydration because of the flavour. Most of them have a flavour, and it's just really good. So there's a lot of stuff out there, and I think with any sort of form of running nutrition, I think that people need to find what works best for if there's so much around. And if hear other people talking, some people will say, oh, that doesn't really work well for me, or that works really well. So I think it's a really individual thing, and although we can recommend what to do, I think it's all about trial and error, and this is what the long runs are for, really, is to trial all your different nutrition things, and also just everything in terms of running, just trial it out until the big day. So again, I would recommend a sort of a protein-based drink, getting a lot of electrolytes back in, and just water in general is just fantastic, just to hydrate as much as you can. Just not glug so much back straight after, but just, you know, little and often. Keep a water bottle by you for the rest of the day, or just a glass, and just keep topping it up. There's also, they say things like chocolate milk nowadays is really good, because that's also got a really good balance of protein and carbohydrates. So chocolate milk's always in the research is saying that's really good nowadays. There's things like Lucozade Sport. I think back when I was training for my marathon in 2014 at Christmas, my brother bought me a big box of them. So after a long run, I would always have one of those. So again, it was good to help with thirst, and also with the electrolytes, replacing those back in the body. So I think it's all about trial and error, but just making sure that water is part of that, because with the electrolytes and with the protein, water is the base for all of them. So water, electrolytes, protein, and just doing what works for you, really. What's your sort of...
Yeah, same. I tend to go for a protein drink. You can get recovery drinks from High Five, SIS, that have protein and electrolytes sort of mixed in, sort of powder drinks you mix up yourself. But yeah, protein is the one I go for most, help those muscles repair, and then water throughout the day.
This is a fantastic question, and this came from Hannah Chalk on Facebook, also part of Redway Runners. And this was about what is a niggle or a pain versus injury. And I think this is a really important one, because as runners, you know, we've all got a goal, most of it either being a half marathon or full marathon. We've got that date in our mind, we've got our training plan set, and we have to go out and do whatever that training plan says. But obviously along the way, you know, we're stressing our body out, we're putting it into a state which is probably not used to, and then that's when everything, all of the niggles, the pains, the injuries, they start to come and can sort of set us back. So it's really good to understand and identify what the difference is. So
yeah, really good question. I think a lot of people will probably be asking this question as well. This time of year, we tend to get a lot of people into the clinic that are training for marathons. They're starting to get injured, they get into the long runs. With regards to whether you're injured or it's a niggle, first thing to sort of look at is listen to your body. Okay? If you're limping around on it, if you're unable to finish your runs, if you're really hurting the next day and limping, the chances are you're injured. If there's any swelling, any bruising, you're injured, and my advice would be to go and see a professional, get some advice, get some treatment on it. With a niggle, sometimes you can manage them yourself. So if it's a bit of tightness that is during the run, doesn't get particularly worse, isn't really bothering you too much afterwards, you're walking around okay, it might just be a niggle, a bit of tightness that you can probably deal with yourself. So some foam rolling, some stretching might help with that. But remember, niggles can develop into injuries, so listen to your body. If anything's getting worse or you're not quite sure, go and see a professional. Just a massage sometimes on your legs is quite good at just reducing those niggles and keeping everything nice and loose through the muscles. Okay, so that's one thing that I always question, is that people often only go for physiotherapy when they've got a problem. Should us as runners be having regular sports massage? And if so, how many times would you recommend? Yes, I think it is a good idea too. I personally get massages quite regularly, especially when I'm training for marathons as well. Maintenance treatment is better than cure, so if you try and prevent any injuries, just keep everything ticking over. But also it just freshens the legs up, so you might find you're running better, you're feeling nice and loose, you're not having anything that's sort of holding you back. So maintenance massage is pretty good. If you're just doing it, you're injury free, you just want to keep on top of your legs, maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks while you're training for a marathon. Maybe in the last month or 6 weeks where the miles are really ramping up, maybe once every couple of weeks.
Okay, and fantastic. So, and before a big race, how long before should someone really sort of look to book a massage, just to make sure they're on tip-top form?
It's probably not best to have it the day before. Sometimes massage can leave you a little bit sore, so try and leave it maybe 3 or 4 days beforehand. Certainly maybe 48 hours as a minimum, just to allow the legs to recover in case you've got any soreness after the massage. But yeah, a pre-race massage is always good. I always do it before my marathons, and then I'll get a recovery massage the week after as well.
I'll be making sure that I'm booking in after this. Ready? Okay, and the last question that we've got is about massages and ice baths. So we have sort of touched on the massages here, but sort of we'll talk about the purpose of them and also the frequency around those two. So
yeah, I think we've covered the massages quite a bit there. There is a lot of research that does show that massages help reduce your delayed onset muscle soreness, so it can help you recover quicker. So if you are looking for recovery between your long runs or after a race, it does help speed things up. It just helps the muscles recover a little bit. Yeah, I think we covered that in the previous question mainly.
Ice baths? How many have you experienced before?
When I get to my longer runs, I do personally use an ice bath. Now I'm not chucking ice into the bath. At home. I don't stick loads of ice in there. I just use cold water, just running cold water. And the research on ice baths is a bit sketchy. Some say it's good, some say it's not. I'll sort of summarise that. But it doesn't have to be loads of ice floating in your water.
I just got a vision of like at home, just tipping loads of ice into your bath. Yeah,
and you see sort of athletes using sort of big baths in the changing rooms afterwards, full of ice. But somewhere between 8 and 10 degrees seems to be cold enough for an ice bath. So you don't necessarily
it doesn't have to be freezing.
Doesn't have to be freezing. So 8 to 10 degrees will be about right.
Yeah.
The idea behind ice baths is it helps the muscles recover. It reduces inflammation.
Yes.
But the current thinking is that actually you need a bit of inflammation for your muscles to recover, to repair and get stronger, because that's what happens. Your muscles get inflamed, they repair themselves and they grow and you get stronger and stronger. So the current research is suggesting that maybe ice baths aren't the best if you're trying to reduce the inflammation, because you actually need inflammation for the healing process to occur.
I see, okay.
But there is also debate as to, does an ice bath stop inflammation? Probably not. I don't think you're going to be in there long enough to absolutely get rid of any inflammation, or all of the inflammation, only some of it. So the current thinking is it might help you recover, so you will feel a bit better, your legs might feel a bit less sore afterwards, between long runs maybe, or recovery after a marathon. But there is debate as to how effective they are. Some of the top athletes, Andy Murray, Mo Farah, they use them, so they're doing something right. But yeah, it's still being researched quite a lot, and the current thinking is perhaps they're not as good as previously thought. But they're leaving it out there at the moment, not sort of committing to one way or the other at the moment. I personally, for my longer runs, I'll get in a cold bath for a few minutes. If I'm feeling brave.
If you're feeling brave, see how you feel. Depends how cold it's actually been on that Sunday. So would you just recommend sort of after your long runs?
You wouldn't need it after a shorter run generally. So it might just help your muscle soreness recover a little bit. It might help your legs feel a little bit less sore afterwards. You might then be able to do some recovery stuff the next day.
Okay, fantastic. So I might give that a try tomorrow. I'm not quite sure. I'll see. Okay, fantastic. So that's everything. That's all of the questions that we've got, that we've had from people. Is there anything else that you want to sort of cover in terms of rest and recovery, talking about the importance of it? And
I think generally with recovery, you've got to allow your body time to recover. So if you're training every day, you're not getting rest days, the chances are you are going to get to a point where you're injured. Everything has its breaking point, and if you're not giving it a chance to recover, you're not going to stay injury free. So I think rest days are important. So, if you're running a couple of days, have a rest day. Ideally a rest day after your long run, or certainly a short recovery run if you are choosing to do a recovery run. But lots of rest. Okay, I know runners naturally want to run every day to think they're going to get better and better and better, but that is likely to lead to injuries, or at least you're going to get perhaps slowed down a little bit because your muscles aren't recovering properly. So allow your body time to recover. So for anyone that maybe is running their first half or their first full marathon, how many rest days should they really incorporate into their week, would you recommend? It does depend how much you run normally anyway. If you only usually run twice a week, don't expect to be running 5 or 6 days a week and lead up to your marathon or your half marathon. That might lead to injury. You've always got to gradually increase. The 10% rule is a good one to follow. So never increase your mileage by 10% per week, and that will reduce your chance of injury. If you're someone that runs quite a lot, then you can probably run quite a lot, but still allow rest days in there. I'd say probably allow a minimum of 1, but ideally 2 rest days in the week. That's rest from running, so you can go swim, you can go on the bike, so it's rest from running, so you still can do other stuff and all your recovery strategies as well.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, because I know that's also a great line for me, because I like to go to yoga as well, so I'm like, is this an active, I guess it's an active recovery day, because you're still doing something, can't you?
Absolutely.
But it's not a complete rest day, but I do try to give myself at least 1 full rest day a week, and that's normally also on a Saturday. I find that I best perform if I've had quite a few days rest, and as well, especially leading up to the marathon itself. Some people will go out on the day before and sort of do a 2-miler or something like that, but personally I feel that having sort of 2 days rest, so I would probably do my last one on the Thursday, take it quite easy, and then have the Friday, Saturday off before the race, and that's when I feel like I perform best, is that I've had enough rest time, really.
Yeah, I'm the same. Leading up to a marathon, I'll have a couple of days off beforehand, just to let everything recover, lots of stretching and getting myself ready. Yeah,
I think that's it. It's also the mentality and getting yourself ready for the race. I think that's an important thing, and I think that's sometimes also quite an important one. I think I forget about that often as well, is that on a Sunday going out for a long run, I think the last few weeks I've neglected that, in terms of, you know, I'm quite fortunate going out with the Redway Runners and the club that, you know, the route's planned for me, so all I know that I've got to run for is a time period. However, there's people out there that might not be part of the club and have to plan their route. So I think that the mental side of running is so important with that. So you need to allow us not only, you know, the preparation for a run or a race, is the mentality after it, and allow some downtime, because otherwise you're just thinking about it all the time, and I think that's just really important with that. In terms of rest and recovery, I think, like Rudi said earlier, it's just listen to your body. I think it's just try and get in tune with it as much as possible. And I listened to a really good interview the other day with Ben, the 401 marathon guy, and that's fantastic. That's on the Ben Khumba. He's also a nutritionist. He does his own sort of podcast radio show, and that interview was fantastic, because Ben said that at first he was listening to everyone and all of the research out there and doing everything that what he felt that he should do as a runner, but actually when he started listening to his body, that's when he performed the best. That's when he started getting less injury. So I think that's the most important thing, really, is to listen to what your body is saying, not what your head's telling you, but what your body's needing and what your body's craving. So I think that that's one of the most important things, is just listen to your own body. If you've got a niggle or if you've got a pain, try and seek some advice, look after it, so that you don't then become injured, because, you know, training for 16-20 weeks is quite a long time, and you don't want to allow it to be affected just because you haven't given yourself enough rest and recovery. And I think that's one thing that personally, I mean, I'm no expert, and I definitely got last week wrong myself. You know, I thought that I was doing everything right up until my last long run, but you know, I was exhausted, dehydrated. I didn't take on any water throughout the run, which was probably a big mistake for me. I mean, I have done a few runs without taking on water, but I didn't take on any before. And yeah, I just had a real problem and really sort of failed with that run last week. Wasn't probably listening to my body. I was listening to my head, what I thought was right. So I was doing everything that I was preparing well. I thought I was treating my body well, but I actually wasn't. I wasn't giving myself enough rest, and I was just doing too much, not necessarily my running, but also my general personal life. And I think, you know, you've got to combine everything into it. It's so important to understand that on the rest days, that's when your body's actually getting the benefits from your training. It's not when you're actually out running itself. Your body's getting the benefits, and it's adapting to the stress, as they call it, of those runs when you're resting. So make sure that you are having active, even if it's active recovery rest days, you know, just factor those in. You know, take an afternoon off, spend it with your family, or, you know, do something for you, because it takes up, training for a marathon or a half marathon takes up a lot of your time, and I think that for your own mental sanity, you need that time. So yeah, enjoy life, but enjoy your training at the same time.
Absolutely, good advice.
Thank you for watching today's video. We hope that you found it useful and that you can take some tips and pointers away from that. Just want to wish everyone good luck with the rest of their training up to your half or full marathon. If you've got any other questions, then please feel free to let us know. So once again, my name's Katie, also known as Clean Coach Katie, and you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, most forms of social media, and the same with Rudi. Yeah, Rudi, the Treatment Lab, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well.
Thank you for inviting me along, Katie.
No problem at all.
Good luck with all your running.
Yeah, so thank you again once again for Rudi for coming along and putting this video together. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you've got any more questions, then hopefully we can put another one together for you. So good luck with everyone, and let us know how you get on.